He ain't told y'all he was a piece of shit and had no respect for the ancestors. Right? But ain't nobody getting out of here without paying for their dirt. That's the realest shit. So the same way that they laughed at us when we was down, we laughing at their ass as we stand back up. It's not personal, though we could take it personal. It's just family business. You're not going to come over here. We got all of these clans coming to here to ask the big chief why Big Mama not in charge of Big Mama shit. I got to answer that shit. They look like us, but they ain't us. They tricked Big Mama. Some of them married her and then gave their shit to some motherfuckers that didn't have anything to do with us. They made agreements as if they was us with motherfuckers that they put in to replace us to make it look like we signed all of these treaties. They brought them motherfuckers with them that signed them treaties. That was those people that they kept hostage. You got to know who they was warring with for the whole time they was over there. This is why you have to know military history. You have to know world history from both sides of the water. The history of the world, according to Oxford University, does not read the same as history of the world according to Yale or Duke. Right? It's a whole different history of the world. Georgetown, history of the world from Georgetown University, doesn't read like the one from Oxford University or Notre Dame University. Right? And this is how this is where you get your understanding that the world history being written by the victors is going to make the people least resistant to the power that pretend to be. But they ain't the real power. We are. Right? So you see Ice Cube going around doing a campaign, but he ain't calling the gatekeepers by name. All done. We cried then. It's our turn to smile in the sun. Trump done already announced the party. We know that's going down. They done already announced the dead celebrity concert on the 11th of November. So we already know somebody finna be revealed. We know something big finna happen. They already said that all of the banks is ready for this new currency switch and that it was going to somehow benefit all of the people. Remember, I told y'all, the national debt becomes the national debit. Everything they stole from y'all, that shit got to be reversed. That's called a turnaround. See this? Silver certificate. $5 bill. My little brother was showing it to me today. And I wanted to show y'all. Before they had Federal Reserve notes, this is a 1934 silver certificate $5 bill. This used to be $5 worth of silver. Literally. And then they tricked us. They tricked our elders, the ancestors who didn't know no better, because none of them didn't understand the mechanics of fractional reserve banking and the inflated debt scenario. By inflating the debt, you can increase the amount that you are allowed to borrow. But who in the fuck is you borrowing money from? Then you find out that somebody overseas hold the purse strings, World Bank, International Monetary Fund. So all of the money they collecting in taxes is being sent in batch rolls to the World Bank and International Monetary Funds as payment on a debt. But the debt ain't going nowhere. So it got to be a secondary debt somewhere. Something that they paying on that they keeping a secret. Right? Those are what they call international exchange instruments that they keep in a secret. Right? That's what they really trying to trade in. This is what you call a FC number in the courts, a federal count number. And the batch rolls includes all the rest are captures at war. Right? We under Admiralty salvage right. They salvaging our ass. We the ones that we've been trying to figure out why these motherfuckers doing what they doing, cause we've been at perpetual war and they are occupying force. So if y'all remember, when the Bushes made their coup attempt in the Middle East by ousting Saddam Hussein and seizing Afghanistan, right, and Iraq, what did they do? They gave all of the contracts to rebuild Afghanistan and to rebuild Iraq to a company called Halliburton. And Dick Cheney was a board member of Halliburton, the vice president. Not only that, they gave all of the pipeline contracts to run and reroute pipelines and rebuild and restore pipelines also to Halliburton. So now they got the contract to rebuild infrastructure of two countries, Iraq and Afghanistan. They get the contracts to route the oil pipelines and to cap the oil wells that was spewing oil up into the sky. We didn't remember this until I bring it up, and then the elders be like, "He sure do remember that. Sure did happen." And then they could tell y'all, Mohammed Karzai was selected by the CIA to replace or to become the head of the government, the interim government in Afghanistan. This is exactly how the United States Corporation was those three corporations merged together to form a super corporation to administer an interim government called the United States. So the Virginia Trading Company and the Northwest Trading Company, they merged together, and then they signed something called a Treaty of Peace and Friendship, a peace document, because they was always at odds with the Royal Moroccan Company. The Royal Moroccan Company became known in the history books as simply Morocco. But the Royal Moroccan Company is who Tipper Tip, the largest slave trader in African history, worked for. They was all what you call Ottomans, Bedouin Arabs that came out of the Middle East, and they are all nomads. This is why in the scriptures it tell you that they didn't have a homeland, because they wasn't native to nowhere on the planet, right? If you're not native to the planet, you artificial. What Bobby Hemmett called them, human artificial. He said they came in at the beginning because we've been fighting the artificials ever since we've been here. Then when you fast forward up to today and you realize we in the middle of a conjure war, and the conjure war was the only work if they can keep us in a state of ignorance. And that's what the Masonic Lodge say, fiat lux, let there be light. Let my brothers see as I see, because I am my brother's keeper, right? So this is why we not going hard on Roland, because we believe he's sincere. We just believe he haven't seen the receipts and he been lied to, and that if he go talk to the chief, that's the authorized war chief of the land, he can get to see the receipts that we have, right? One of the chiefs have in their possession with his own, I'm talking about historical documents that's been in her family. He can see him and touch him with his own eyes and hands and know this is a real, actual document, a real government document, right? So that's why we want to convince him to go and look at her receipts, because when he come back, he can tell the unapologetically African motherfucker, it's your turn now. She right. But you need to see it for yourself so that when you change your mind, you don't have to feel bad that you was lied to. You can just come to the realization of the truth. Because even though you unapologetically African and you a descendant of Frederick Douglass, who was native, and you say you were a descendant of Nat Turner, they listed him as a native too. So you don't even know who you is in truth. Or maybe we not pretending. Maybe we know what we're talking about And maybe we've been here so long, wasn't no here before we came because we had to build this motherfucker from the ground up. See, only by knowing who the elders on the land can you send people to the right place to get the right information to the right people to bring us all back together. See, they want to bring this unity. See, I'm past all that. I could just, my thing, fuck them. But the elders said, no, we had to go through a process of refining information and explaining to the ones who believe that they telling the truth that's been misled through their collegiate studies because they teach this bullshit in college as the facts. But they colleges is designed to keep them in control by making our people work for them. And the only way we can get our people back is to show them the historical documents, the pictures of your uncles and your aunties and your grandparents that's on this document, right? You show, this is a whole nother level of education that you can't get in no school. This is why she been doing what she doing the way she been doing it, because it's like my brother in Flint, Rod, been keeping his family's fight going. That's been keeping the paper trail back to the beginning. That's showing you they always been trying to wrestle us out of our own shit by making us look dumb to others, but we know what the fuck we be talking about. Right? So now we ain't sharecroppers who don't know the Queen's English no more or the King's English. Right? We not them. We not the ones that spoke those native tongues that didn't understand how to read a lie in your language. We know your language now. Some of us are like a walking dictionary, can recite your words and definitions better than you can. And y'all brought them to us. You see, they wanted to make us look like idiots and thought that by keeping us uneducated, that we would never figure out that only way I'm going to get the right education is to educate myself. Because I could see all of them teachers as being misled. I'm a kid and I know that. I'm a shorty. And know that the teachers is being misled. Right? So we want to support anybody who want to support us with the right information. This all we want. If you gonna represent us, talk to the elders that we authorized. That's a dead entity. We killed that shit on July the 6th, 2019. 2 days after the goddamn thing expired, we exercised the blood and the right to reclaim the land, and we didn't get any objections because they thought it was a joke. They thought it was a joke. They thought that when we were saying it back then, it was so few of us claiming our birthright, using our old methods of oral tradition, putting it in the public domain, allowing the people the opportunity to agree or disagree by showing them the receipts. Right? Now these clowns trying to say we still don't know what we're talking about. So we want to show our people, the ones from the clans that's organic to this land, who we are. No, we don't tell them who they are. They have to determine the truth of who they are on their own. But they are interfering with us, reclaiming what's ours by confusing the pool as to who's speaking. Right? They us, but they speaking for other people. Right? They speaking for people that don't exist. They speaking for African Americans. They don't exist. People in Africa don't even call themselves African. This is what you got to understand. The people from Nigeria call themselves Nigerian, and most of them call themselves by their tribal designation. And then they supplement it with what country they come from. They don't talk about they African. Unless they from South Africa, they say they Boers or they Zulu. But we fall for the shenanigans over here because Jesse Jackson said we was African Americans and took a big brown paper bag full of money for teaching us to accept that as the truth, and he knew it was a lie when he told it. That's why his old crippled ass sitting in that wheelchair suffering, because you ain't getting out of here without paying for your dirt. Just like when he was part of the Martin Luther King assassination setup and left that motherfucker with a big brown paper bag full of money. It all came out. This ain't no shit that ain't already in the public domain. This is not even a secret. Tricked his brother to do a deal on the restaurant business with the Blackstones and then got caught with some other shit and sold his own brother out. So what the fuck you think he gonna do for us? Right? No, he was actually he was a sellout. He wasn't one of them. He was one of us working for them. Right? So he thought that the money would save him. What good is it doing his ass now? He even said it. It's actually a book. It's all about the money by him and his son. Right? It's actually a really good book on money matters. But the thing is, he believed that the more money he had, the more impervious he was to the wrath of God. Like God didn't see what he was doing when he was selling out Martin. When he was making deals to mislead his people by calling us African American, making it into a of your family history in your DNA. When you seeing those dates, the numbers are activation codes.
Okay.
Those tune you into an ancestral frequency of your direct lineage.
Okay.
The anger is because you want your shit back.
Period. Right? Honestly. Period.
That's it.
I know.
It took
I know.
me a long time to know why I was mad.
Angry, Rod. I mean, I got so much of it, and
Look, I'm telling my mama I'm gonna tear something up. She said, I don't know why you're gonna do that. All you gotta do is be yourself, and you're gonna know what to do to get everything back.
Right. But and sometimes, it's really funny. Sometimes when I'm thinking things, I hear it in your voice in my head. You know what I'm saying?
That's light code activation. Because a lot of what I be saying, it talks directly to genetic memory, ancestral bloodlines all across the land. That's why I had to traverse the land and meet different people from different communities to understand our cultural dynamic. So now I don't talk to the people. I talk to the cultural dynamic. Right. And the people know the cultural dynamic better than they know English. English is not our original language. So our cultural dynamic, we can talk through that. Right? Mm-hmm. Tupac, the one made me put my anger in check because he did an interview back in on Yo MTV Raps, and he was like, well, when you get done being angry, then what you gonna do? So you mad? We went through that with the Panthers. We was mad back then. Mm-hmm. But when you get done being mad, what you gonna do?
Next, right?
Right. Most people can't think past the anger. So now this gives me, and this gives me another perspective. That's why Larry Hoover kept saying, stop trying to gang bang. We brain banging now. In other words, the war not on the battlefield. The war is education, right knowledge. Right? Mm-hmm. Knowledge itself changes the individual on a certain level. Yep, alchemy. Right? Okay. So we natural alchemists. If you don't believe me, all you got to do is watch one of these mothers go in there with a bag of rice and a can of beans to come out with a meal fit for a whole family. How the hell she do that? I never know.
Yep.
But that's alchemy.
Somebody said make Turtle Island great again. That was another thing that got me because I've loved turtles my whole life. My whole life I've had turtles all around me, and like, just, it's always been there. It's always been there. Growing up, I didn't believe in church. Like, I didn't believe anything that they told me. I fought my mama tooth and nail. I was the kid that was up all night because I'm not praying out loud. I thought y'all said God heard my thoughts. If he hear my thoughts, why I gotta go confess to the pastor? Why can't I wear sandals if Jesus wore sandals? Like, that's the type of kid I was. I never, so like, I had a long way to go, but I got here.
Yeah. So the turtle sound like your totem.
I think it is.
Those with the turtle totem generally don't move as fast. They're not as hasty as others.
Okay.
They assess the situation before they move.
Yeah.
Right. So just go back to what you was feeling. You feeling to follow the energy of the turtle when you don't know what to do. It's saying don't move, assess the situation, and when it comes time for you to move, by you observing the situation, you're gonna know exactly what to do. Mama used to say the race don't always go to the swift. Sometimes it go to the slow and the steady.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate
and
that.
that's the self-care.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that, because that's something up. And then I feel like I forgot my last thing. I had another question, but I'm just happy that I was able to get on, because I've been trying to catch you on live for like a month now. And I just, I work at a restaurant. I'm a